it's Lennoxtown headquarters here.
Hello.
How we doing?
How are we doing?
Okay.
I see a list of participants, and I've never ever asked our Gabriel to go first, so he's the guy. Gabriel.
John, how are you doing? How's it been last few weeks? No game last weekend. How's training and everything been?
Training's good. Probably a little bit frustrating in terms of not having a game quicker to come back into, which has been a little bit strange actually. So it's obviously taking time for the game to come round, but we're almost there now. So a lot of good training time. Would have liked probably more games in this period than we've had in the last couple of months, but it is what it is, and we just got to handle that.
Obviously, it's another game against Rangers this weekend. How important is the incentive of you being able to stop them being invincible? Obviously, now that's all they're playing for, that they're out of the Scottish Cup. How big an incentive is that to you and your players?
Yeah, we can use it as a motivation, but we ultimately got to judge ourselves in terms of what we do. What we've not done in the last two games especially is, be ruthless in the vital moments of the games and take our chances and change the dynamic of the game. So, especially in the last game, we give 2 goals away, which put us in the back foot. And then the big moments we had chances to get ourselves back in the game, we didn't take them. So we got to be more clinical, play with the same kind of possession style and everything else. But, when the big moments come along in these big games, we have to be more clinical. And that's ultimately what we'll be judged on, because that'll obviously give us a result at the end of the day.
In terms of Rangers also being knocked out of the Cup, do you think that it almost highlights how impressive Celtic's run has been, doing a quadruple treble, winning all those trophies? It shows how hard actually it is, especially to remain unbeaten back at that first year under the Brendan.
I think it's very, I don't think people have maybe appreciate at times the difficulty of going through, cup games and going on a run like we did. And probably over time, when you're in the midst of it, you get used to Celtic winning, you get used to them winning our trophy, and it's great, there's a treble there, there's another treble. But ultimately, when time passes and no one can replicate that, then people probably look back and think, wow, that was an unbelievable achievement. I think we appreciate it now, but I think as time passes and you realise how difficult it actually is and that no one else can actually do it, then people appreciate it even more. And especially being involved in it, we know how difficult it can be. The challenges of cup games. It takes one blip, and you're out of cup. So the run we had was absolutely magnificent, and credit to the players and everyone involved in that in terms of the consistency and the high level of performances they put in and consistently churning out results to get to that point. So it's a difficult task, winning one trophy, never mind the amount that this group have won together all in a row.
In terms of players, John, would James Forrest be back for this one?
Yeah, so James has trained all week. Obviously, he was just short of the Aberdeen game, so we've the actual benefit of having the space between that has given us more training time. So he's been good. Michael Johnson again's trained this week. So again, we've got a better squad in terms of options going into the game.
How frustrating has it been for James? Obviously, just back, he was really impressing in the team, and then he ends up back out again. Was it a real setback for him?
Yeah, it was. Again, although it was minor, it's still not what you want. But I've been there myself. When you've been out for a number of months, coming back in, these little kind of niggles can happen. So it was nothing too serious. And it was something we could manage quite easily, in-house. So he got over that quite quickly. He's been back on the pitch, both between rehab and then now training with the team. So hopefully he picks up where he left off.
I suppose in a sense you'll be hoping that he's now got enough time as well and enough game time to impress in terms of the Euros coming up in the summer and that squad selection.
Yeah, and I think if Steve's watched us, he'll have identified that when James came back in, he was looking sharp and he was looking like his old self. It's a very minor setback. He's missed 2 games, but he's back fit again, and there's no worries with him going forward again. And in terms of for Scotland, he's been a big player, in big moments for Scotland over the years, and he's certainly the type of attacking and creative player that you would like to have in your group. So I'm pretty sure Steve will be keen to obviously consider James for the Euros.
Roman?
John, how much added importance do you give to the game this weekend, given it's 21 years, I think, since Celtic have gone a full season unbeaten against Rangers? Another way to do it.
Yeah, it's important. Nice haircut, by the way. It's important. Obviously, it's not something we want to be attached to or we want to happen. And you always get judged against Rangers. You always get judged against your biggest rivals. So again, we've not been good enough in the games recently this season because of, as I said, I think performance-wise, and the last three especially, there's not been a lot in the games in terms of general play. But Rangers have taken the big chances. They've taken the chance in the game, we haven't. So that's been the deciding factors, and we have to change that. And certainly going into Sunday, that's what we want to change. General play fine, attack the game with the same manner, but when we create our big moments, we've got to be more ruthless. And ultimately at Celtic, you have to do that, and that's why we've been successful over the years, because we know how to win games. We go in with a confidence that when we create 3 chances, we score 2 of them in these big moments. So that's what we've come off this year. We've not been quite as clinical, and it's something we have to fix going forward.
In terms of taking chances, did Lee Griffiths give you more food for thought after the last game?
Yeah, I think he always does. Lee's, again, it was good to see him, in that moment late in the game, and that's where he's at his best, in and around the box. But also Odson's, still a top goal scorer. He's maybe not hit the levels that he has in other seasons, but he's still a very important player for us. You've got Albie in there as well, so they've all trained well this week. It certainly gives you food for thought when the striker scores. But again, we'll just have to decide in the next day or so in terms of what we think's the best mix for this game.
In terms of the option on Lee's contract, is that still in limbo at the moment?
Yeah, it's still nothing decided fully yet, so I think Lee will have a discussion with the guys at the club, probably in the coming week or so, 2 weeks maybe, and decide what's going to happen going forward. But he's been good. He's been good as gold. Lee's trained well. He's fully, applied himself the way we want. So we just have to see how that goes in the coming weeks.
Can a decision be made, John, before a new manager comes in?
I don't know. It's a difficult one to answer. I'm not involved so much in that side of it. It's very much preparation, deal with the games, deal with the squad. But in terms of decisions around, squad and everything else, are kind of sitting waiting till the club decide what they're going to do going forward. And I know they're working hard at it, and everyone wants answers and everyone wants to know what's going on and what's going to happen, but I think they want to get things right, make sure they do things properly, and then they'll announce it at the right time, and probably at that point then it's a much easier decision for everyone to decide on, whether it's Lee's future or whatever else the squad might look like.
John.
How are we?
There was a report this week that claimed that you might be lined up for a director of football, sporting director role at the club. Can you offer some clarity on that, please?
Yeah, it's been made up. So someone's obviously had a guess at it, and I think because there's so much speculation around the manager and behind the scenes how it might look, I think people just start kind of trying to piece things together themselves and putting that out there. But I've not had any discussions around that role at the club with anyone here. So again, it's nothing I can really comment on because it's not been discussed.
I mean, you've been quite clear from the start. You said what we will be. I mean, if you're not involved in a coaching capacity, would you like to be involved in another capacity if it were that role?
Again, it's not one that I've probably considered or spoken about, so it's difficult to really commit to anything. I've always been very much about the challenge for me. Regardless of when I started out as a youth coach, I always felt progression was important for me in my career. I've never been in a massive rush to, jump from being a youth coach to, manage at the highest level possible straight away. It's always been very much about if I feel challenged, I'm in the right environment, and I feel I'm progressing in the right way, I'm content with that, and I'll take my time with that. And that's been the case up till now. I've always had, year on year, feel that I'm going somewhere. I'm in a good environment, working with good people, and collectively we've got something to strive for. I've always kind of had the steps in terms of, going from youth to reserves, and at the first team coach and assistant manager, now obviously taking this position at the moment. So again, it's just something that at the end of the season I have to sit down and consider what my options are, and what kind of is the right thing for me to do alongside what's available. So again, there's nothing in it, it's a pure speculation regarding the director of football thing, but for me, probably in 2-3 weeks time, I'll have to sit down and consider what's the next move for me.
John, it's Scott Brown's last derby match this weekend. He's a guy that's been the dominant figure, I think you would agree, over the past decade or more in this fixture. How's he feeling ahead of the game, and how much is that maybe a motivating factor for the guys to send him on his way with one last victory against the old rivals? Yes,
obviously Scott's had a fantastic career here, a very successful one, and he's been a dominant figure in Scottish football for a number of years now. The kind of levels he's reached, the success he's brought this club, and how he's dominated the game pretty much over the years. So it'd be nice, for Scott to go out on a high. It's been a challenging season, probably one that he envisaged would be different for him. But it is what it is. We have to deal with that and make the most of what's left. And I think people always talk about excuse me, about replacing Scott Brown. I'm not sure it'll be possible, but I think the club will have to deal with life without him and evolve without him. But certainly getting into the game, it'd be good for the team to collectively pull together, to send Scott on his way on a high. And certainly in his last derby game, which he's great success in, being a real iconic figure in these games, it'd be nice for him to have one more before he bows out.
It's more than likely not going to be the only one whose last derby this is. Inevitably there'll be a turnover in players in the summer. You mentioned earlier what this group has achieved before this season. How much will you be looking for them just to produce one last big performance, to maybe just as a little nod to the fans as well? It's obviously not been the season that they wanted, but just one reminder from this group of what they are capable of. Yeah,
and that's been important, and I've seen parts of it, and we get often with results, it can cloud a lot of the performance stuff. So even in the last 6-7 games, in the main, we've had performance-wise, it's been relatively good, but the deciding factors in big games and in all the games is how clinical you can be. And when you are more clinical, it breeds a higher level of confidence, and you see more flow in your football. So these are the challenges we've faced of late. We've not quite been ruthless enough, and that changes the whole dynamic. And I've been here through the successful times, and I know we're in a groove and everything hits the back of the net, and you go 2-0 up and 3-0 up and everything's great. And the performances are still stable. So stable performance-wise, but we have to be better in both boxes, in terms of not giving anything cheap away at our end, and being really ruthless at the top end. And that's the differences in football, and that's the difference between success and not success. And that's the way it's been this season. So it'd be nice, certainly, for the team to show. I've certainly seen it against Livingston at home, different level, but we've seen a real ruthless streak there in a team who were Celtic, in terms of that success we've had over the years. It looked like their old self. So we want to go out on Sunday, be free in our play, but be very organised and know what we're doing, and go back to showing what we really are, which is hopefully what we've shown in the past, and we can show that again on Sunday.
Clearly Celtic, whether it's yourself leading the team, whether it's someone else, clearly Celtic will want to come back strongly next season. Can Sunday play a part in that? Just lay down a marker to the team that have taken your title, but just send a little message to them if you can go there and win, just a little marker for next season that Celtic will. Yeah,
I mean, football can change very, very quickly. We've seen it from the dominant success we've had, to go into such a tough season very quickly. So it quickly can change, and it's the same going the other way. So again, every opportunity you receive, you got to try and make that the turning point. We've had a tough time this year, and we make no excuses for that. We're responsible for that. But we have to then turn that around. And at a club like Celtic, you have to do it as quickly as possible and get back to winning ways. We don't like being starved of silverware. We've been used to success for so long. This season, it's been very alien to us because we've not managed to win anything, and it's not something we want, to continue. So for us, it's very much about, the next game being Rangers. Can we set, our stall out to make this a start point of the next era of success? So we have to do that, and whether it's Sunday or whether it's the next game, we have to then get the wheels in motion in terms of how we move forward.
Okay. We all good?
Cheers, John.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Much.
thank you.
Cheers, thank
Start.
you.